All right, gang, so we have gone through our strategy and our tactics, and now we need to talk about how we measure the success of our SEO investments. So there are a few key metrics for SEO health, and we can get a lot of these from analytics software and from ranking software, which I'll talk you through. One of the key metrics that I urge everyone to measure, and I think is absolutely essential, is traffic. That's by visits. I like to use number of visits, not unique visitors or page views or anything like that, but number of visits, and that is sent by each search engine. So let's imagine here that blue is going to be Google, and my pink there is going to be Bing. And so over time, what I can see here, January, right, Bing is starting out small, grows a little in March. Great, doing well with Bing, right? I'm growing my my Bing share, I'm having success there. What's going on with Google though? So Google is, obviously an overwhelming majority of my traffic, and on average, for most sites, Google is going to be 80 to 95% of your traffic. If you're in Europe, it's going to be more like 95 to 99% of your search traffic because Google has so much market share there. And in February, it grew substantially. But then in March, I can see that my Google search traffic is actually down. And this is very important because this tells me that I need to do some auditing. I need to figure out why that is. What's gone on there? What am I doing right from January to February and wrong potentially from February to March? Next metric that I urge you to check out is the number of pages, number of unique pages on your site that are receiving at least one or more visits in a month from a search engine. And so, and this is by each search engine. So on the left here, I've got number of pages receiving visits from Google, and then down here I have my months, and I can see, in fact, I think I've solved my mystery, right? Because January to February, it went up a little, no problem, great. That maps with my traffic growth. And then in March, it actually fell. So it looks like March I received traffic to fewer pages, suggesting that either the rankings for a bunch of pages fell, or maybe Google stopped indexing them, or maybe I had a problem. Maybe I unpublished them from my website, or accidentally blocked them by using robots.txt, and I told Google, like, hey, don't crawl these pages anymore. Oops. So now I can start digging in and understanding what's gone wrong there. And that's why it's critical to measure these two metrics separately. The next key thing that we need is rankings. And just a few broad things on rankings. We need our rankings to be tracked, even though there's all these things around personalization and localization and different kinds of devices and that kind of stuff, because broadly, rankings are still very, very well correlated to traffic, and the rankings that you get from rank tracking software, you could use Moz, you could use any of the many, many rank tracking solutions out there. Those data points that you have will be very well connected to what the average searcher sees. So even though positions might change around a little for personalization, rankings still key to measure. And we can do lots of important things there. We can say, hey, we're seeing lower traffic, but we're getting just as many pages seeing that traffic, and we are not falling in rankings. What's going on? Oh, that's not our fault. That's lower search demand. So if you look at the last 2 weeks of December, search demand for pretty much everyone falls off a cliff the last couple weeks of December, which is no surprise, at least in the United States, right, where it's a big holiday season. There's usually a slowdown in a lot of search demand in the summer, except around things like best grilled steak, which takes a huge shot up in June and won't stop until September. So those kinds of things are very important to be able to measure and to know what is responsible for us growing or shrinking our search traffic. Let's go take a quick look at some ranking solutions, and I'll walk you through a couple important points about that. All right, so here we are in Moz Analytics. You can use a lot of tools, as I mentioned, for tracking your rankings in SEO, but since I'm the creator of Moz, I happen to have a login for Moz Analytics, and of course I've been tracking some things for a while here, so we'll use this one. But this example is pretty salient across any SEO ranking tool you might use, conceivably. So take a look here. I am seeing my keyword rankings. This is for my personal blog, which is at moz.com/rand, and you can see I'm tracking 275 keywords, 36 of which over the last week have moved up, and sadly, 42 have moved down. It's one of those cobbler's children have no shoes situations where I don't pay a ton of attention to my own rankings in my blog, at least not as much as I should. And you can see in here, right, my position 1 through 3, how many keywords I'm tracking that are ranking there versus 4 through 10, 11 through 20, etc. What's interesting is down here in the keyword rankings, where I've got this view that shows me my traffic, right? So this gray line here is showing traffic over time. And I can see that traffic bounces around not all that much, right? This is organic traffic from search, from Google in particular, the vast majority anyway. And my rankings, you can see, took a dip here. This is the week of October 14th. I lost some rankings. I also gained a few as well, but lost some, and you can see my traffic is down there, recovers up here, and is doing well the last few weeks. So what's great about this view is being able to see whether rankings are responsible in part or in whole for a traffic increase or decrease, and whether moving up your rankings is having a positive impact on your organic search traffic. And there's lots of reasons why it might not be responsible, right? It could be search demand was weak. There's just not a lot of people searching for those keywords, terms, and phrases that week. Or it could be that demand was very high. It could also be that the keywords you're tracking are sending you, some portion of your traffic, but there's a lot of traffic that's coming from keywords you're not tracking. Maybe those rankings moved up and down, or maybe demand for them changed. And so this is really about being a diagnostic and an analytic tool to help you answer the question, am I doing well with rankings for the terms and phrases that I care about, and how is that impacting my traffic if it is? And so next up, we're going to chat about identifying opportunities and risks as we're measuring our traffic. This is good on both ends, right? We want to be careful that we don't have problems with our SEO that we can fix, and we also want to be careful that we are not ignoring potential opportunities that are presenting themselves. So, with opportunities, if I look at my keyword rankings and I see that I have a bunch of keywords that are in position 3 through 20, but the pages that are ranking in those positions still seem to be getting some valuable traffic, what does that tell me? Well, we know from our click-through rate data at the beginning of our series here that, my God, I could increase that traffic tremendously. I could get a ton more valuable traffic if I just moved from position 3 to position 2, or 4 to 3. Next up, if you are bidding on keywords, which most folks who invest in SEO are also investing in paid search traffic, right? They're buying keywords through AdWords or through Bing. If you're seeing PPC keywords that are sending you valuable visits and you are not yet ranking for them on the organic side, that tells you another huge potential opportunity, probably some potentially low-hanging fruit too. And lastly, if there are sections of your site where you look and you see, hey, none of the pages with this particular path or none of the pages in this section seem to be receiving search traffic or are only receiving 1 or 2 visits a month, what's going on there? Wait a minute. Oh, maybe we aren't actually targeting any keywords with that content. Maybe we haven't optimized for it. Maybe we've blocked Google. Maybe we've not made that section crawlable or indexable to search engines. That's another big potential opportunity. Next up, the risks, the scary stuff. So pages that are receiving visits from search engines, but that traffic is not doing well, meaning it has a high bounce rate, it has a low browse rate. Those people are getting to your site and they're clicking right back to Google. Next, pages rank highly that are sending large portions of all your search traffic. So if you see that, hey, we're growing search traffic month over month, it's looking very nice, but these 5 pages and these 5 keywords are responsible for 20%, 30%, 40% of our traffic. That's risky because your competitors could overtake you in those positions, search demand for those terms could fall, Google could introduce new elements to the search results, right? More ads at the top, different types of results in there, and suddenly the percentage of traffic, because it's so high from these few terms, you're exposing yourself to a lot of risk. And so you might want to think about optimizing for the tail or broadening out your search targeting to be able to rank for a lot more phrases and limit your risk. And then the last one is if you're seeing a downward trend in the number of pages that are receiving search traffic like we talked about here, even if you're seeing growing rates here, let's say these look up and to the right, it looks beautiful, but fewer and fewer pages on your site are receiving traffic. That suggests that potentially you have low quality pages that Google doesn't like or they don't think should be in their index, or maybe you're creating a bunch of pages that Google's getting confused about, or you have duplicate content or canonicalization problems. That deserves an audit, that deserves a fix. If you are looking into services and software providers that can keep track of your rankings for you, include your visitor data, and try and give you some of these metrics, it really depends on the type of business that you are. If you're a large enterprise, you might look at a couple large enterprise providers of this data. GetStat out of Vancouver, Canada is a great provider. Searchmetrics, which is in Germany, and Conductor, great company out of New York. All of those are really good for the enterprise side of this. If you're looking a little further down market, maybe you're not thinking about paying thousands of dollars a month for this, but more in the hundred to a few hundreds of dollars. My company, Moz, is a reasonable solution, potentially. Searchmetrics also has a lower price package that we like and have been impressed with. A company called Ahrefs out of St. Petersburg in Russia, another good choice to check out. And then there's a long tail of rankings providers. So if you search for SEO software or track SEO rankings, you'll see a tremendous list, and you can audit those and figure out which one might be a great match for you. If you're running a service like WordPress or Squarespace or Shopify, unfortunately, these metrics are not exposed to you by default. In fact, even in Google Analytics, you're going to have to do some work to get at this data. Some of the SEO software packages that I mentioned, like a Searchmetrics and a Conductor and a Moz, those will actually do this kind of in an automated fashion for you, and that's nice. But that doesn't mean you have to pay. You can do it manually through Google Analytics or through another analytics provider. If you're using Omniture or something like HubSpot, you can get this data out of those services manually too. It's my strong suggestion that you don't become too metrics obsessed on too frequent a basis. In my opinion, looking at something more than week over week is probably not that valuable. Rankings will change on a daily basis, but daily rank tracking gets a little obsessive and also doesn't give you a big picture. Rankings could fluctuate on one day and come right back the next day. It even fluctuates a bit hour to hour sometimes. And so my strong suggestion would be try and keep it to week over week. That's a really good time frame to be measuring this kind of stuff. If you have a particular problem that you are worried about, or a particular term or phrase that you're obsessed with that you know is critical to the business or the business's performance over a small period of time, say the couple weeks leading up to Halloween, for those of you who might sell costumes or costume supplies, or an e-commerce business right before, right after Thanksgiving and before Christmas. Some daily rankings tools will help you with that.